Hi guys, this is just a real quick guide to show you how to do a figure for illustration purposes. So it's just a really quick, easy way to divide your paper up to get the correct proportions for you to do your figure drawing and eventually use these for your fashion illustration. Okay, so what you need to do first of all is get yourself an A4 piece of paper, ruler and a pencil. And we're just going to create our dividing lines first of all. So what you need to do is we're measuring in centimetres. Measure 2 centimetres down from the top of your page. And then what you want to do is measure every 2 centimetres down, creating 10 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And then just mark them off, okay? So first one, just mark as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? So you can see what you'll end up with there is your 10 different sections. So your top section, which you measured down 2 centimetres from the top from, and then every 2 centimetres down to create your 10 sections. Okay, so what we need to do next, once we've got our first markings down the one side, is we want to create the markings down the other side as well so that we can get grid lines. So do exactly the same as what you did first of all on the opposite side of the page. So mark 2 centimetres down from the top and then every 2 centimetres to get your 10 sections. Okay. And then all you need to do is just draw a nice straight line across from those markings to get your guiding grid lines. So as you can see, what you should have then is a nice grid pattern. So you've got your first markings down the side there, your second markings down the other side, and then you've just joined them across with a nice straight line. So then what you're doing is you need to mark off various points. Not everything falls on the grid lines that you've just done some for between. So you need to mark off your neck and shoulders where they're going to come to. And to do that, you work in between the 1 and 2 lines. So you need to mark off halfway between the 1 and 2 lines. And that's your neck and shoulders, okay? Next you're going for your bust line, and that is just a quarter of a centimetre underneath the 2 line. So if you measure that and pop that in there. You're now marking off the higher part of the hip, and that is just a quarter of a centimetre above line number 4. Staying with line number 4, we're now marking off where the bottom of the wrists come. So when you're drawing a model with the arm straight down, this is where the wrist will come, and also the crotch area. So again, working with line 4, still a quarter of a centimetre under line 4. And then we're just popping in where the middle of the knees are. So this is between line 6 and line 7. So we're just marking halfway between those 2 lines. Okay, and you can just write on there as well what they are to help make sense to it, okay? And so then you'll end up with a little something that looks like this. So you can see I've actually labelled the different parts there, and I've just measured those off and popped a little line in there. What I'll do next is I'll actually mark off the head and the chin and things like that on here as well. So what I've done here is I've just marked off all of the different points that the various body parts are coming to. So I've popped in at 0, the 0 line, so that's the top of the head, so the crown of the head. In between that is the head, so that's just generally where the head sits. On line 1 is the bottom of the chin. In between line 1 and 2 is where the neck and shoulders are. At the top part of line 2, so on line 2 is the high breast point. Just underneath that is the bust line, which we've just measured. Line 3 is the waist and elbow. Just above line 4 is the hip line, and just below line 4 is the wrist and crotch. Line 5 is the hip. line 6 is the top of the knees. In between line 6 and 7 is the middle of the knees. Line 7 is the widest part of the calf. Line 8 just leave blank, it's kind of where the calves come down and into the ankles. Line 9 is your ankles. Line 10 is your feet. What I've also done as well is I've just popped a line right down the centre of all that, and I've made some of my lines a little bit longer so that I can work with those a little bit easier. Okay, so once you've done all of those grid lines, just one last few lines to do. So what we're going to do now is we've got the centre line, which is like the centre of the body. We're just going to measure at the top of that 1 centimetre either side of that line. You draw that at the top and then just repeat that on your very bottom line. So 1 centimetre from that side, 1 centimetre from the other side, and just connect those two bits together with some lines. And this is where the body will sit. So the centre of the body is going to go right down that centre line, and your 2 lines that you've got the other side, you're going to try and keep everything in. Okay? So as you can see, starting with that centre line that I did, I've measured 1 inch from that side, and then 1 inch to that side. Done it both at the top and at the bottom, and then connected those lines, and that's where we're going to try and fit the body in. Okay, it will sometimes go out of it, and that's fine, and it's all about getting your proportions. Okay, once you've got all of your grid lines in place, so those going across and those coming down, and everything's marked off and you've written down what everything is, you just start to fill in those body parts, remembering to keep sections within the vertical lines, the horizontal lines, and to keep the width of the body in the vertical lines. Okay, so just start drawing it in. So I'm just starting with a nice simple oval shape to go on for the head, and that's going in between line 0 and 1, coming down to the neck and marking in where the top of the shoulders should be on that line that we've created. And trying to keep it to those lines as well, and I'm trying to make sure that it fits into the vertical lines as well. So all you need to do is just carry on working like that all the way down, and it's up to you how you want to draw it. I'm doing quite simple lines. Some of you might want to block it in as shapes, and that's quite easy. Like I said, ovals for heads. You can do elongated cylinders for arms and things like that. It's really up to you what you want to do. You'll have had a look at some illustrations before and kind of got an idea on how you want to do it anyway, but I'm just going to do a simple line sketch. Okay, so you can see that I've sketched it in really roughly, just the proportions of the body. It might take you a few goes. You can see some rough things underneath what I've done and had to reportion it, but you're just basically trying to stay within those gaps that you've created for yourself, and within those 2 lines. If you come outside of the 2 lines, it means that you're probably creating your drawing a little bit beefier than it should be, really. If you want to create a plus size, then you will need to bring it in a little bit more, but you need to reproportion that a little bit as well. But that's for another time, darlings. Okay, so I've just sketched it in a little bit darker with some fine liner so that you can see it a little bit better. So when you're drawing it, do make sure that you're keeping it straight down the centre within the various sections, and try to keep within the lines. So once you've drawn that, it's at this point now where you can, if you want to, start sketching in your garment ideas. Just draw straight over the top of it. What you can also do as well, if you wanted to start creating them with some movement, or if you want them at a sassy angle, then all you do is just make sure when you're drawing your grid out, you just angle that grid. So if you want to do it so where she's got like one hip up, for example, hope you like that movement. But if she's got one hip up, then you just draw that angle that particular way, or vice versa. So just draw the exact same thing, but just at angles, and you'll eventually get into it, guys. You'll eventually be able to do that in no time, and at some point soon you'll even be able to do it without even using the grid lines.